All right, everybody, we are now behind the scenes with Ann Pershing with Show Simply Home Staging, and we're just chatting about being a business owner and entrepreneur, especially in the crazy, I don't know, market that we're in now. But Ann, thank you so much. Good morning, and we see
Thank
your
you for having me.
now. Um, so I want to go way, way back. So, how old is your staging company? Give us a little background and perspective of when you officially became the business that you are now.
We are 6 years old. We just turned 6 years old in September. When I announced the company, I announced it at the changing season of fall because it was a changing season for me.
I love that.
Yeah, I was in insurance for probably 20 years, worked behind the scenes and in-house consulting firm. We helped our agents run their businesses, did everything from training to teaching sales promotions, marketing, setting up their office systems, anything that we could do to help the agents get up and running in their business. And I always knew I wanted to own my own business. Insurance was not my field. I'm a creative, and I've learned to really tap into that energy over the years. And then on my personal side, my husband is a retired Army officer. And so we moved every 2 years, and we would either have to sell a home or I'd have to get a house ready really quickly to live in. And I always had people tell me, you have a natural eye for this, you have a gift for this. And I started hearing about this staging thing. And this was probably about 10 years ago. And I'm like, I've been doing this for years. This is just natural to me. And so I took a big chance. Once we moved here to Virginia, I had tried to go back to my company and was traveling to Charlottesville every day. And I just decided, I hit a milestone birthday and I decided I'm going to go all in with this and see what this phase of my life, what comes. And it has just been, I feel that the doors just open. It's just been phenomenal, the growth and the people that I've been able to connect with in such a short amount of time. And I firmly believe that I couldn't have done this any other time in my life and in any other city. So I feel like I was planted here to really start this company here in Richmond.
I love that so much. And I think what I'm also here, like staging, it's interesting. Like some people aren't certified, some people are. So you had a natural maybe calling or talent for it, but I always find like it's hard. Like there's like part art, part science to it, which I had no idea. And so it's not just throwing a picture on the wall and putting a chair in the living room. Like there's truly some. So did you think, 6 years ago, you felt like you had natural talent? Do you feel like you've learned so much about the staging business just maybe failing forward in the last 6 years, or did you take some courses? Like, how did you really kind of hone some of this? Because you're amazing, by the way.
Thank you. It's also a lot of schlepping, which people they don't realize. It's and that's what's a little difficult about hiring people is they love the decorating part, but the carrying rugs and hanging pictures in 95-degree heat and when the air conditioning is not working well and all of that grimy stuff that I know all the realtors are shaking their head too.
That's not only TV. That's the unsexy part of our job.
So, and it doesn't get done. It's not as easy as it looks on TV, but it really, I call it pinging, and it's something that, especially when I do consultations and I walk into people's homes, my brain immediately starts moving things. And I just have this ability to move a room around, to move pieces around. I don't have to get out a measuring tape. I know what's going to fit where and where it needs to go. And but through the years, I've learned, feel like my craft is getting better. And with anything, the more you do it, the better you get at it. I
Yes.
also have an assistant who is incredible, and she has taught me things too, as far as our synergy and how we work together. It's great to have that one or two other people you're working with to get that creative energy feeding off of each other too.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So what do you think, freedom companies, we coach and train multiple business, primarily real estate agents, and they get to year 3, 4, 5, 6, and they're frustrated. They feel like they're at a ceiling, whether it's financial ceiling or they're frustrated with transactions. Like, you probably, maybe not, but you've probably been frustrated at certain points in growing your business. What advice would you give to somebody that's like, I think this is my passion. I love what I'm doing, but I'm so frustrated because of X, Y, Z. I think as an entrepreneur, we love the freedom of owning our own business, but there's a
Absolutely.
lot of stuff that they don't tell you. um, so what would be your advice to someone that's kind of struggling now with their business growth, of that ceiling, that whether it's just as a person or a business owner, that ceiling that we all get.
And I'll tell you, this is something I've had to work on myself, and it's advice I used to give to our young agents too, back in the insurance days, is take some time. I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we jump on that treadmill and we gotta, I gotta keep running. I gotta keep running because I gotta keep up. And there's people beating me and there's competition and she's getting more sales. And oh my God, that stage looks so much better than my last stage. And I've learned to just take a deep breath and take time for yourself, quiet time, read books about business, read books that inspire you, and take the time to remember why you went into this business. We
Yeah.
get so caught up in the details of it that we forget that the reason we did this was to have the freedom to create our own. I always call it manifest destiny. Like, if
Yes.
I'm successful, it's because I'm successful. It's not because my supervisor decided I could get a 7% raise that year.
Right.
And there are some years that are learning years, and there's some years that are productive years. And it's a
Yes.
cycle and it's a season, and you just have to ride that roller coaster. And sometimes we spend a lot of energy circling around things that are not productive, and really slowing down and
Yes.
reassessing what you're doing.
Yeah. Slow down to
And
speed up.
looking at, are these things really working? Is this working for your business? I know at first I did a ton of networking, and I was sitting there one day in this networking meeting, like down in Petersburg, in a plumbing facility. And I looked around the room and I'm like, I love these people. They're entrepreneurs, but there is so many other things I could be doing to build my business than this right here. And the meeting was like at 7:30 a.m. and trying to get kid on the bus, and
Yeah.
and so it's that kind of stuff, like continually looking back at what are you doing, what's productive, what's good for your time. And I feel like, God, knock on wood, I feel like I'm in this coast now, and it
Yeah.
feels really good. Yeah.
Well, I think, and you mentioned the word freedom. I think I always say that freedom is freedom of choice, like freedom of,
Yes.
do I need to grind a little harder and get to that, the next level? Maybe this is your season of productivity, like you said. There's oftentimes I'm saying you need to slow down to speed up. And I think that you said it perfectly. Like, I think if you're a natural or just love the entrepreneurial business, you've got to realize this hamster on the wheel concept isn't going to get you any further. Sometimes reading. I love, great advice. Great advice.
Yeah. I have a little sign on my desk, and this has kind of been my mantra for about a year and a half. Bigger is not better. Better is better.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Yeah, so good. I
And
need that.
so there's always, we get a ton of pressure to grow our businesses bigger, and you got to move into a bigger warehouse, and you've got to, take on more movers. And it's like, no, really, tonight I'm going to go see my daughter at a cross country meet. And that's, and then tomorrow I will have a full day of stuff. And
Yeah.
for me, it's about the freedom of having time with my family, and for this business not to run me, for me to run it.
Yeah. So 6 years in the business in this phase, what's the secret surprise? What's something you're like, wow, I didn't expect this to show up, in my life or in my business, because I think that's always, we can always talk about the challenges, but what's the sweet surprise that that has shown you or given you?
I think, probably the best one is when you're going through this idea of, I have an idea and I want to put it out there. And who is my client going to be? And I want them to be this type of person that has integrity and honesty and really being able to carve out that path to find that client, and then that client refers you to another and another and another, and you begin to form this web that brings in such like-minded people. I'll tell you, one of the funniest things is when I told my husband, look, I have an idea. And you have to understand, he's very analytical, he's very
Yeah.
safe, he's very, and
He
I'm
needs
the
to be
free
in his
spirit.
in his profession. We needed him to be analytical in his profession.
Exactly,
You don't need
exactly.
creativity on the war field. That's not good.
We can't have two of me in a house,
Yeah.
and he and my daughter make such fun of me, like, the way we have to put the glasses away in the house, and
Yeah.
he always says, this is Show Simply's house. So
I love
it. But I told him I have an idea and I want to run with this. And he doubted me, and he will tell you this to this day, that he doubted me. And we have friends.
A good thing, because it gets fuel in your belly.
Oh yeah, it was big fuel, especially since I had kind of sacrificed a lot of my career to follow him.
Right.
And so it was big fuel to say, hey, I'm still
My
the same
turn.
woman you married. Yeah. And so and we have friends that have even said, they tell the story of him saying, Ann's gonna do this business, and kind of shaking his head. Well, probably about 8 months later, I overheard him at a friend's party, and he was very proud of me. My wife owns this business and she's doing so great, and and now he's my biggest supporter. And so that was a neat little surprise too for me.
I love that. So obviously we work by referral, you work by referral. So give me your ideal referral, someone that you want to attract like-minded. Like, who is your like-minded person that you want referrals from?
I just love people who are real, honest, can communicate well. Can do business however you want, phone calls, text messages, that kind of thing. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that I enjoy is starting off with brand new agents and really helping them to see the value of staging from the very beginning. And as their business grows, we move from consultations to staging, simple stages, bigger stages. And it gets them out there out front as professionals, as a team with professionals, and selfishly, as their business grows, my business grows.
Sure. But you're planting the seed and you're nurturing that just like any other business. So I love that.
Yeah.
That's not what I would have naturally thought you would say, which
right.
Yeah.
Everybody wants the big producer who's doing 20 houses a month, and give me the first time agent who's trying to get in there and get a name for themselves. And I'm really happy to work with those people. And just a caveat to that, just selling staging in general is, what do your listings look like right now?
Right.
Because if you're investing in staging right now, you're setting the stage for your future presentations. These are what my previous listings look like. And I invested in these clients, even when I was making no money, or even when I was a brand new agent, to be able to have that portfolio of a great presentation. I know it's hard. That was another one of the little surprises, is how much money comes out of that pie. We all think it's 6%, and
you slide it all the way through and you're like,
wow. Yeah.
So I guess my last question is, there's a ton of, especially in the last 6 years, you've seen probably staging companies increase. I mean, I've I've been almost 20 years in this business, and it's like, even agents, they stage their own properties. I remember taking my own furniture out of my own living room and dining room. My wife's like, damn it, the chair's missing, and it's changed so much. So how do you stay, like, what's your unique value proposition, your calling card? Because there are agents that are good at staging. There's some are not. And then there's some other staging companies. Just like agents, we're not all created equal. So what do you think Show Simply Home Staging, like, what's your calling card to make you stand out amongst kind of the others?
I think the biggest thing for me, and I've embraced this, is wisdom. The older I get, the more experienced I have, especially with consultations. You don't want to send somebody in there that's brand new, that's never bought a house, that's never been in this market, talking to somebody in a $700,000-800,000 home about what kind of money they should spend. And I think it's a communication skill in being able to understand people, know what motivates them, so that you can tap into that. I always say 90% of it is them willing to do the work. That's my consultations. And then as far as our staging, I think we talk about this all the time. Like, our stuff does not look cookie cutter. A lot of times
100%
it flows, but it also feels like it's somebody's real home, because we don't use all of the same stuff, or everything doesn't always match. It's a gift in trying to make things work while you're on the project. And professionalism, timely, dependable. I mean, all of those things, that is what I hang my hat on. My reputation is everything to me. And I want to work with people who can communicate, and I'm a great communicator, and the buck stops with me.
That's probably I think the unique, aside from everything I've ever seen you've done beautifully. It's,
thank you.
It's attractive aesthetically, but it's really the communication, right? Because I think communicating with the seller, if they're making an investment in the staging, you have to communicate what the value of that is.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You're amazing at communicating the value.
Thank you. And I'm a proponent of, I want you to use me and my company, but if not, if you've connected with another stager and you're happy with that person, I'm a proponent of staging, period. And use somebody you're comfortable with. But if you want to build a relationship with us, that's the other thing. I'm not interested in these one-offs that I need you and I need you now. I want to build a long-term relationship with people, that I'm a partner in helping you build your business.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Well, that's the end of my questions that I have. Like, what is one question or one piece of advice as an entrepreneur that we should end with, that you want to, everyone listening to this and watching this, that should take away from this conversation?
I think for me, I had to get out of the staging atmosphere of training and move more into entrepreneurs. And I get a lot more energy out of talking to other people completely outside of my industry to bring in new ideas. And I think also with real estate, sometimes there's these, very specific things that you do. And when you get out of your realm and work with coaches like yourself and really come up with creative new ways of doing things, there are systems, but there's also, it's so neat. My brother's an entrepreneur and we're on the phone daily, completely different businesses, completely different markets, but having that cheerleader to, especially some days are like riding a roller coaster. Sure. Some hours are like that. You think you're devastated. And then, 2 days later, you call them and tell them, this is what happened and it's unbelievable. And, so.
I think that's great advice. Get outside your own box, whatever the industry in. I do think in real estate, we stay in our own bubble, and that's not always healthy. I always say it's real estate comparison syndrome is a fake thing I made up, but real estate agents or even coaches, or we compare ourselves. We, like you said, like you see someone staging something and it's a natural human instinct to say, oh, he or she did something better than I did,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
vicious trap to stay in. So I love that you're like, get out of that box, get out of that bubble. And entrepreneur is the way to go. So that's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, thank you for spending time with me this morning.
Thank
and
you. I
all the
appreciate it.
energy.
How
Love
was
it.
Albuquerque?
Oh, it was so fun. So fun.
One of my
Was
favorite
way
places.
better than the pictures
Yep.
I could ever
Yep.
show. So,
Yeah. So
well, thank you so much again. I really appreciate everything you're doing for us and hope we can give you some more referrals and build more partnerships. Okay.
thank you, Drew. I appreciate you.